Today we are here to discuss the marketing communications post-COVID and the emerging trends. We have two experts with us for the same. Our first expert, Mr. Sagar Chhabria, who's been working into advertising from last 10 years and has been closely associated with some top quality brands like Unilever, PepsiCo, P&G, Volkswagen, Seat, SBI, Cadbury, Tata Sky, etc. He's also worked as an assistant director. Our second expert, Mr. Arnold, who's working as a group solutions manager at Shebang. He's also closely associated with various brands. I would like to start off with Mr. Arnold. How do you see the approach of different brands trying to influence the audience to buy their products in the current crisis?
Again, so it really depends from sector to sector. But what we're really seeing across the board is there's a lot more focus on performance. Everything is performance driven because every penny that is spent really matters for brands right now.
Yeah.
And it was very different, pre-COVID, where, from the smallest of things, even if I have to do a contest and I had to spend on a couple of vouchers for a contest, as opposed to, doing even an influencer marketing, like an influencer marketing outreach. The clients just ask, okay, how is this really, turning into sales? Like, I need to see the exact numbers, and that's only when they, we're seeing them spend. So the first 3 months was quite kind of a storm, but we're at least starting to see people spend a little more right now. So I feel that the storm is sort of past. It's getting a little better, so there's definitely light ahead. And you're seeing like an increased spends, in different sectors at least.
Yeah.
But what they keep continuing to do is that it's performance driven. So like every activity that I do, from a post to a video, every money promoted on any platform has a sales metric attached to it. So
Right.
that's definitely that's the objective of brands. And keeping that in mind, that's what we really have to do. So we got to make sure that our communication is focused in a way that is sales driven, is performance driven. That we are communicating. We're probably just pushing traffic onto, say, an Amazon, as opposed to just talking about the benefits of the brand. So now I'll talk about the benefits of the brand, and I'll say, oh, go buy my product on Amazon or wherever. It really depends from sector to sector. So that's essentially what largely the communication has been in the last 2 months.
Yeah.
So that's something
Okay.
I
Right.
continue seeing for the next couple of months as well.
Okay. Yeah. I would like to know, like, as you spoke about expenditure as well, like in the current crisis, people are thinking about before expenditures. So, like, what do you think, like, how brands can keep the engagement with their customers? Like, people have become more conscious, like, about the expenditure.
So every brand, I feel, is figuring something or the other in their own capacity, considering their audiences. Since Shebang, for example, has a lot of, we're a digital first agency. A lot of our brands are social media, we do social media for a lot of our brands. For them, what I'm seeing is how I normally, even I tell my teammates is, um, one is we've seen them reduce expenditure, right? So which means there is very little that we can put out month on month. So for example, if there were 10 or 20 earlier, there would be 20 content pieces I'm trying to put out throughout the month, all right? But now, because of the money that they can spend, it's gotten down to, say, like a 5 or 6.
Okay.
So to put it like to give you an analogy, I would say in cricket terms, you've got fewer balls left, and everything that you have to hit in that is got to be a 4 or a 6. So you cannot afford to have something which is very substandard or at par. Like, it has to be brilliant or nothing else.
Right.
So there's increased pressure on agencies like ourselves, wherein everything that we need to do, there's very little that we have. There's very little room, but we got to make sure it's the best and nothing but the best.
Yeah.
So I hope that sort of answers your question.
Yeah.
So
So,
Arnold,
like,
Yes.
I also wanted to know that, if you could tell what all changes can we expect in advertising industry as such, post-COVID. So during COVID, a lot of ads came wherein people were actually, making clips, shooting it at their home. So do you see any changes post-COVID that can happen likely in advertising?
In advertising specifically, I feel like I was actually going through the question earlier, and I feel it's a little too premature to say that. I'll tell you one for sure is that one for certain rather is that brands will definitely continue to spend more on digital as opposed to what they were previously. So that I can tell is given. By what percent I do not know, but the thing is that traditional agency has been there for hundreds of years. All right, offline has been there for hundreds of years, and that's like a tried and tested method. And you know, every other brand that I've previously worked with believe in that believe in traditional agency. So I also have, like, this is my humble opinion. All right, it may not necessarily be correct, which is why I feel it's too premature to say, but I feel that brands will, as markets slowly start to open up, people start to go out, things slowly start to return as to normal, people will start spending on, brands will start spending on offline as well. But I think this is where digital really needs to shine. If we as a digital agency need, manage to show results in this period, we can, definitely be taking a big share of, spending from traditional marketing. So that's how I'm really seeing it, the next months.
Okay. Thank you.
I would like to come to Sagar sir now. Sir, since you have a very good experience working in the majority of segments in advertisement, be it print ad, be it radio, be it television, how important do you feel is the reinvention in the current scenario, and what role would digital platforms play for the brands to communicate effectively along with the budget cut in the advertisements?
Hey guys, thanks for having me. Let me start by saying that it's a pleasure to be part of this. Now to answer the question, now what I feel is, because what's happened in the last 4 to 5 months because of the COVID situation, the big shift that's happened in advertising and marketing world is everybody has jumped onto the digital wagon. Not that the brands were not there on digital platform, but it's become right now the only place where the consumer is. That's how you want to reach your target audiences. So that's the major shift in terms of how, where to communicate. Yes, because of there were limitations with the shoots not happening, most of the production houses, most of the editing homes, everything was shut. So the kind of films that you saw, kind of communication that you saw digitally were work from home films. The celebrities and everybody shot at their home with their cell phones. So that one big shift that's happening in everybody's mind is that you do not need a huge equipment, you do not need a huge budget to do a simple communication. If you have a good idea, a basic setup can get your messaging out there. So that's a mindset shift that's happened with a lot of marketers and advertising individuals. So that's definitely one.
Last thing which I would like to ask you is, how do you see the creative approach of brands adapting different trends for driving their promotional campaigns in the coming future?
Now, what do I see in future? Even if when there's a vaccine for COVID, things are changing in a rapid pace. There are brands who are coming up with sanitizers. For example, Asian Paints has come up with sanitizers. It's unheard of. They've never done this before. They were not present in any other sector. This is the first time they've stepped out of the paint category. So that's a category shift that's happening. So it's a mind shift. It's a mentality that's getting be present where your target audience is. So the future, I think, again, as I said, digitally heavy. Yes, we are going to be more digitally savvy, but it's India, and the population is huge. So the main lines, the TV ads, the print ads, they're not ever going to go out of our lives that easy. But yes, this situation has made us realize that it is not always big budgets. It's not always the big names that gets you the job done. If you have a great idea, if you have a differentiated point of view, then any communication or any medium that you are present in is good enough for your messaging to be out there. Yeah. So according to me, that's the trends and the future of communication.
And finally, on behalf of my entire group, I would like to express my deep gratitude, thankfulness towards Mr. Arnold and Mr. Sagar Chhabria. Thank you so much, sir. Your insights were really very fruitful. Thank you so much for taking out your precious time and reaching out to us. It was a pleasure hosting you. Thanks a lot.
Thank you. Thanks a lot.
Uh,
Thank you,
Thank you.
sir.
Yeah.
Thank you, sir.